Good morning. We're here with the Women of Dare Whimsy at Between Us Girls. It's almost Valentine's Day, and we wanted to talk about what it's like to be a gifted and creative during a season like Valentine's. You know, Valentine's is a time where there's a lot of external pressures and internal pressures to perform. And as gifted and creative women, sometimes the black holes of our giftedness show up about now. Those black holes like overcorrection, perfectionism, overdoing, overplanning, overscheduling, overcommitting. Those over words go with overachievers, and all of us are that. Sometimes we choose to be missing in action. We just absolutely blank out, and we don't deal with Valentine's Day. But today we want to encourage girls of all ages to celebrate this week of love, and first of all, be loving to oneself, and to allow whatever it is we are to be, and to learn how to love and laugh and play together and celebrate this fun holiday. Good morning. My name is Sweetie Berry. I am one of the Women of Dare Whimsy. Dare Whimsy is a community for gifted and creative girls of all ages. We meet on Wednesday morning for Between Us Girls, a conversation among gifted women about the trials and adventures of being gifted. This morning, ladies, the first question up is, how do you personally handle places like Valentine's Day? How do you personally handle that? And I'll be calling names out for folks in just a minute. Gail Roddy, I'm going to put you first up if that's all right with you. Talk to me about Valentine's Day in your world as a gifted writer and author.
Well, that's an interesting question because I must admit Valentine's Day has not been one of my favorites since I've been an adult. I enjoyed it when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, but as an adult, I like to think of Valentine's Day being something that is year-round, especially since I've been married for almost 25 years now. We stopped celebrating it after the first few years, and we started celebrating it on July 1st or something like that. We just picked the day that was our Valentine's Day. So we made it very personal. And as a writer, I love sharing, once again, all year long, love and my heart open to everyone. I try to do that as much as I can.
Fantastic. You know, one of the things I love about what you and your husband do is that you pick the day that's your Valentine's Day. So many times as public speakers and authors and people who are professionals or leaders of groups like at church or in universities, we're leading something during holidays. We're doing something with our group, either our sales team or our author team or our audience, or maybe it's an event that we're speaking at. And that means that we really may not get to celebrate it the same way everybody else does. I love that you've given yourself permission to pick a day that's yours. You know, my daughter picks Christmas to be December 27th. You know why? The sales are on. She wants to go shop for Christmas, and she doesn't want to do it during a holiday of gathering with family. She wants to spend the day with family and with food and fellowship at home. But the 27th is her Christmas to herself, and she goes out and blows a wad of money on sales that are 70 or 90% off and has a big time. It's so good to give yourself permission to create a life that works. Dr. Martina McGowan's with us today, and I know she knows a lot about, as a minister and as a physician, how Valentine's Day can give a hiccup to folks in their daily life. Martina, how do you deal with Valentine's Day?
I've been single longer than probably most of you guys have been married. What I usually do for myself is to share some time around that holiday with my girls. I have 2 daughters and 3 granddaughters, 2 of which live fairly close, and we usually try to spend some quality time together. On the blog, I write all year long about finding yourself. And trying to point out to people, as well as my patients face-to-face, that there's a big difference between being alone and being lonely. And once you can sort that out, then you can figure out what works for you.
Absolutely. I totally love the fact that, you know, you hear things sometimes like there's a difference between being alone and lonely, and it gives you a new perspective. I call that awareness. Some people call it perspective. And one of the things that I hope that Dare Whimsy does is bring a lot of perspectives to the same concerns. You know, I used to have a friend who would say when she was single, oh, Valentine's Day is just for singles. It's just for couples, and I'm not a couple. And then when she was married, she said, oh, that's for singles. That's only romance stuff. It doesn't happen in marriage. You know, that has nothing to do with Valentine's Day. That has to do with being an introvert. And so in that space, to learn that people who don't like public places, who don't like doing a lot of loud things, is called being an introvert gives you a lot more strength to face what it is that's uncomfortable for you. And by the way, no one has to face crowds that doesn't want to in most daily life activities. So to understand that you have a preference for small groups, preference for one-to-one, is a strength. It's not a weakness. It's knowing who you are and who you are not. Personally, I love Valentine's Day. I love everything about it. You know why? Because I can't do Christmas cards worth heck. And I always have time between January and February to do cards for my friends at Valentine's. And so I have this whole thing rule. I go and buy cards. In fact, Sarah's is already on my desk addressed, and they're ready to go. So I give myself an out. If I don't have time to draw the cards, I could just sign these suckers with a pretty note and go on. If I have time to do what I want to do, I want to do a little calligraphy. So I have some that are prepared with enough space to do a little calligraphy. But when I really am on top of my game, I really want to tell people how much I love them and how much I value them, and I want to draw it with my stick figure drawings. I'm not an artist like Ashley, but I love to do stick figure, Beatrix Carter kind of drawings and mail them to them. So I give myself some outs. You know, sometimes I get busy like I did this last 3 weeks, moving someone unexpectedly. So it may just be the store-bought card this year, but it's a card, and that's better than not having one at all. So I'm not beating myself up for it. I'm saying, hey, whoopee, I did it. In fact, some of you are going to have to tell me your address again because I'm down in Arkansas without it, and I'm giving myself permission to say I need help. Dr. Edith, talk to us about what are some of the things we can do when the pressure's on as a gifted girl to perform at maximum load all the time everywhere. What can we do on weeks like Valentine's where they want us to draw their posters and speak their speaks and make the poems and do all these extraordinary things that may not be on our time schedule?
Well, many a times what we do, we don't give ourselves the permission or the ability to say no, for one thing. So we'll start with that idea, is that we need to be able to tell ourselves that it's okay to say no to some things, but at the same time we need to look at and ask the question, is this important to my values and who I am and living from my heart? And so then we look at, yes, for me to be able to give to my kids or to support the kids or support the grandkids or to be involved in those various type of activities for Valentine's week is very, very important for us. And then it's a matter of saying, okay, like you were saying, sweetie, how can I do it simply? I don't have to make all the homemade cupcakes necessarily with delicate, detailed designs on the top of them. And yet at the same time, that may be the joy for me, and I do need to make the time for that because that's given me permission to have that experience of joy at that moment too. Remembering to self-care is always important, and when things increase, make sure we take care of ourselves. That may be something as simple as getting up in the morning and taking 3 deep breaths, just 3 deep breaths. And there may be other routines that each of us have, but even in the middle of the day, if things get really hectic, you know, taking that deep breath and going, okay, I'm okay, I can do this, I really can. And then say, all right, what is it I really want to be able to give? What's important about this activity for me? And again, making those choices like Sweetie was explaining, whether it's a bot card, whether it's handwritten with all the calligraphy and everything on it, really designed, or maybe it's just something really quick and easy that you purchased, or it's just the fact that it's a blank postcard or a blank something that you put your name on it and say, I love you. It can be that very simple to be part of it. But self-care, being willing to say no, and what is it coming from your heart message would be what I'd have to say is key.
You know, I think it's an absolutely amazing thing to be able to do heart care. I'm all about heart care for people, for ourselves, and for others. One of the things I admire about Sarah Cook so much, she's a mom, she's an entrepreneur, she's a sales trainer, and she's an organizational expert. But more than that, she's my friend. And she does so much friendship care, and she does things like send me little affirming tapes that I can play in my head about why I'm wonderful that I might not think about. She does some really amazing things for her team and for the people she works with. Sarah, would you mind sharing with us how you do Valentine's? Because you make so many people feel valued and special.
Well, it starts actually with, I think, what Gail said, with spacing it out throughout the year, and also with what Edith talked about with asking what is most important in this gift or this affirmation, this thing that I'm sharing. And so when I look at gifts, I look at how that person languages love in their life. And so hopefully you could see it, for my handsome man, he's getting a stack of love letters, and I had every intention to have it be a big old stack, but it will actually be probably 2 of these. That's what this time is allowing. So thinking about how that person receives love, my youngest son will get a scavenger hunt, and these are the clues that are beginning, and it will be filled with chocolate because he loves treats and he loves quality time. And my daughter loves gifts, so I haven't purchased her gift yet or wrapped it up, but it will be a little teeny box with either some love notes or with some earrings I've picked out for her. Don't tell her, though. And so thinking about what's most important for them is really key. Sometimes it's a gift, sometimes it's words of affirmation, sometimes it's a letter, sometimes it's quality time, maybe playing basketball or rubbing their head if they like, physical touch. Really keying into what's most important. I know for Sweetie, it's words of affirmation as well as quality time, and she really does like gifts. So when I'm thinking about Sweetie, I do love looking throughout the year. So wherever I'm shopping, I'm looking for pigs with wings, and I'm looking for black and ivory polka dots everywhere I go. And so my kids have even started saying, "Did you see that gift? That would be perfect for Sweetie." And so cluing my family into, or my friends into, what I'm looking for and shopping throughout the year is really key. I also go shopping on February 16th or 17th. I shop for Valentine's for the next year because that allows me to buy at a really, really small price and plan ahead so I don't get caught up into the frenzy of what happens to a lot of people who wait to the last minute.
I love all those answers. One of the things I wanted to share with you guys I saw happen at a church recently that I thought was so cool. They know that postage is very hard for their elders, and so postage is a tough thing, but they send a van out for like the lunches and the dinners, and their members who are 0 to 60, because they consider elders 61 and above, they bring in Valentine's cards, and the members of the church have their names on it. But there's always a friend or a relative who comes in for holidays. There's always someone that's invited that's not a member of the church or not somebody it knows. So everybody always does 5 extras. And they do it with a name like my special one or a special guest. And I watched that play out the other night, that people showed up and were not members of that group. It wasn't even a church service. It was just a meeting. And suddenly there were people walking through the crowd handing out with names on it to the right person, right? And then when the person got to it, there was not known, a stranger. The person, you could just see them tensing up saying, "Gosh, they don't know me. I don't get one of those." And instead, the person pulled off the bottom of the deck, because that's where the 5 were, on the bottom of the deck, and said, "We're so glad you're here. Will you tell me your name, because I can personalize this card, or if you'd rather not, I'd just love to give it to you." It was the most welcoming, fun thing to watch, because it didn't matter if the person was 5 or 95. They perked up, they put a smile on their face, they felt a part, and they were appreciating the inclusion. May we all remember to include people. If you're going to an office to give a delivery or to give a book or to sign it, be sure and ask how to include specialness, because that 2 seconds to do 5 extra cards didn't cost me a thing. The moments it gave me are precious memory lifetime moments for me. To have heard a 94-year-old say, "This is the first Valentine's I've had in 30 years, oh my gosh, it touched my heart like crazy. To watch the little 5-year-old boy who obviously had some developmental issues, it was either autism or something, to see him be included even though he was acting out, huge, huge. So it's so important. I love to know why I'm important to somebody, and this kind of segues into Lucianne Maul really well, because she's a biblical counselor, she's also an author, and she's into health. And one of the things that she helps us do is stay mentally healthy by helping us love ourselves and identify. Lucy, you have clients that come to you with stresses, and you have family members and regular college kids in your life. How do you handle Valentine's Day personally? Oops, we got to get your sound on. Just a sec. There you go.
Okay. Well, I really liked what Sarah said, so I'm going to piggyback on that one. And I think of the people in my life and what is precious to them. So my husband, he really likes cards. So we exchange cards. Cards are not so important to me. I can't tell you why, but they're just not so much. I'd rather get a back rub. and so I get Steve a card, and I accept his card. My kids, they like gifts. Usually food related gifts. Don't ask me why. But this year I have something to show to. My eldest, Laura, got married this summer. So sweetie, you gave us like a little thing to do, and so I went ahead and made a balloon bouquet. And when they pop and I have a safety pin, and when those are popped, in 3 of the balloons is part of a card they put together, and it says it's a special Valentine just for them that I wrote, and I used like the back of one of those gift bags, and I just cut it into a heart, wrote the message, cut into 3 pieces, and got them into the 3 balloons, and so that's their Valentine's gift. And right now my cat Polly, she thinks this is her gift, and the reason why my cat thinks it's her gift is because I am using a cat toy to hold it together. But for the other people, like hurting women that I counsel either in person or over Skype, I keep bringing them not only through words of affirmation, but also keep bringing them to the lover, capital L, and that would be Jesus, the one who is the one who has the answers, for their difficulties, for their stress, even if it is, like you mentioned, being alone on Valentine's Day, or being in a lonely marriage. That's difficult too. Or say somebody's spouse or someone else in their life has passed away and they're missing them this Valentine's Day. So those are the kinds of things I speak into people in my family, as well as to people out there who get my my blog, or people I see on Skype or in person.
Absolutely. Love that. I love the balloon idea. That's such a fun, and I bet it was pretty inexpensive to do too, which matters to all of us. We all need frugal fun in our life. One of the things that I wanted to touch on today is, because something's always been that way doesn't mean it has to stay that way. When I grew up, Valentine's Day was a very special time till I was about 11. I was in a small town, and I was very well received, and everybody was kind of normal there as far as making Valentines and being kind to one another. When I moved to a different town when I was 11 to 13, Valentine's was kind of a competition place. It wasn't very fun. People purposefully left folks off the list. People purposefully didn't include others, and it kind of became a sticky place to be. As an adult, I shared a very special Valentine's with my mom, that the girls in our family, the women, the grandmothers, the mothers, the aunts, all gave each other special gifts, because we didn't really depend upon our husbands or boyfriends to do that. The girls did it for the girls. And so that way, if your husband had a bonus day and you got to have dinner out or a flower, that was great. But the girls kind of decided we'll take care of each other, and then we'll be better wives and better sisters and better aunts and uncles to our uncles and husbands and boyfriends. But then, again, life changed when I was in my 40s, and my mother died on Valentine's. And so I could have easily said I hate Valentine's the rest of my life, knowing that I lost a loved one that day. But I decided, and you can too, this is the magic and the glory of it, that if something hasn't worked for you in the past, you can choose to start a new tradition this year. Maybe you felt left out in junior high and you're still feeling left out as an adult. Maybe you love beautiful magazines and you've decided that day you're going to buy yourself 2, or go find them at the library and check them out for free. Maybe you would like to have coffee with friends. Sarah and I love, well, actually, my whole team and I, every one of the authors I work with, I just love enough that I would spend every morning with them every day of the week the rest of my life. But I give myself the treat of one-on-ones. Today I did a one-on-one with Gail. We had a fantastic time of refreshment together. We weren't in the same city. We weren't even in the same state. We certainly didn't get on a plane together this time. but just using a hangout like this, we had a time of refreshment together. So I find 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever I have. Sarah and I regularly play phone tag. We are such busy women. We often cannot get on the phone at the same time because we have clients. But we'll send a little text during the day, or a little love you picture, or a virtual gift. How fun is that, to send somebody a virtual bouquet and to see that it just enlightens them and lets them see it for a minute, or something you wish you could do for somebody. We can't always buy everything. Buying isn't happiness anyway. It really is the thought that counts, and including people's dreams in your daily life. We did a fun thing in Dare Whimsy last week where somebody had a dream and everybody plugged into the dream, and we talked about what we saw in our dream. Somebody went to France. Somebody else saw their quilts in a shop. Somebody else saw something else. It was a very fun play, whimsical time for us, but it had a meaning too, because the Women of Dare Whimsy are going to France next year. We're going in the spring, and those who can go and are healthy enough to go and are able to with their businesses, they're going to go with us in person. And those who are not able to go because there's job concerns or family things, they're going to go with us virtually, and we're going to have a blast together. And Ashley Alika, who is an amazing design artist, who does all kinds of heavy-duty art for all kinds of projects. I bet you have some interesting experiences on things like Valentine's Week where people expect a lot of you and maybe want a lot from you. How do you handle Valentine's Week personally? Because I know you're going through a time that's really stressful right now as you're getting ready to move and you're getting ready to do some new jobs and you're teaching classes. How do you handle the stress of a holiday like Valentine's?
There was a tradition started a long time ago, and my mother created it, and it's the patterning of the socks that you can purchase in stores. So she would give a pair of socks with a Valentine motif on it, and maybe a pair of earrings, and I thought that was just so sweet and delightful. I've carried on the tradition of giving a handmade pair of socks with a red and white color scheme, or just a purchased pair of socks. And that way, if you are feeling kind of Valentine-y, you can wear them throughout the year and remember, oh, these are so cool, and they're on the feet, they keep them warm and toasty. But man, I love what everyone else has said too. Just spectacular ideas and ways of celebrating Valentine's on a daily basis. It is a state of mind.
It is indeed. I love your answers, Ashley, because you do so many nice things for so many people, but sometimes I'm sure the pressure of being able to create is hard on you because everybody wants you to create for them, and I know that in your classes you encourage everyone to create for themselves, and it's always good to have awareness of what you as the pro can do, but I love the way you flip it back on us to say that we're the pro of learning and all we have to do is learn, and you're willing to teach us the techniques. I love that. I want to share from Miss Bobby today. She has had an upper chest thing going on that makes it really hard for her to talk without coughing, but she shared her idea yesterday with me. She's under a lot of stress right now because, wave at them, come and wave. But she's under a lot of stress right now as we're trying to get her healthy, and she's getting well, and she's doing all the things. She has this deck of cards called 52 Reasons Why I Love You. And she took a deck of cards, and each one of them, this is Frankie and Bobby, it's their story. With you, life is a fun adventure. And she has literally on 52 cards a reason to tell them why she loves them. And she does these for all kinds of ages. Sometimes she does it for an adult, like her husband, Frankie. Sometimes she does this for a child. Sometimes she does it for a church member or an elder. But it gives them a deck of cards to understand why it is. And it's so fun because every one of them are easy to do. She doesn't even have to have a new deck of cards. She can buy a used deck of cards. It doesn't matter because things say like, oh, it's just fun. I love you because you are not a Dalek. I love you because you put up with my quirky idiosyncrasies. I love you because you support my book and craft addictions, hobbies, that is. She does all these really personalized statements. And I can imagine with my husband, Feller, or with my children, they would love to receive a deck of cards like this. And how fun is it that it's small and can fit in your purse or your suitcase or someplace little? Not an expensive thing. And I keep harping on that. There's nothing wrong with spending money, but there's nothing wrong with doing things that don't require money either. You know, Valentine's is such a commercial thing now, and everybody loves to say you have to buy the exact $14 card and the $65 necklace. Nonsense. That's hogwash. There's nothing wrong with it if it's something you really want, but there's also nothing right with it if it's not heartfelt. Everything we do is about heart feeling. And I have to tell you, she's trying to get me. It's kind of like that movie that said, "Can you make me cry?" Bobby's favorite thing is to make me cry. So she showed that her handmade card for me is for our beloved Queen Mother. And on the inside, she has all the things I like. She has the yellow heart and love the writers of Dare Whimsy. So she has done a card for me that's hand felt. And I know that particularly because she took that time to find the crown that the Queen Mother likes. It's a whole crown. She took the time to show that I'm having a cup of coffee and hopefully skinny because I'm shrinking as I sit here. It's just showing all the things I've been talking about, including the skinny jeans I hope to fit into someday. So she's done a whole lot of neat illustrating for me, which told me she listened and heard what I was saying, and the color she chose made me know that she knew. Now, I'm not a blonde yet, but I'm a blonde inside because I know that I'm going to be a bombshell about spreading love for gifted girls among gifted girls and themselves. So that's something we talk about, is I want to be a blonde bombshell that helps gifted girls recognize they're lovable, able to be loved, and worth loving. And that's one of our messages at Dare Whimsy. I would love to throw out there, everybody in this team, like every other assignment in life, got an assignment to make something, and I'd like you to each hold up what you made. Some of you did during your talk. I'd like you to hold it up right now, and let's go through the thing. I'm going to popcorn and send Sarah up first, and then, Sarah, you'll get to pick the next one. Oops, got to find it. There you go.
I think I'm off mute. So here's one stack of love letters for my sweetheart. And the scavenger hunt, the chocolate scavenger hunt for my little guy, my basketball boy. And it's a block of wood with an old card repurposed. It's Mod Podge, and it says, "I love the way your lips curl up when you smile." So just a few things. And let's go over to Lucy, because I think you got yours handy for us to
Yeah, I made this balloon. I made a balloon bouquet, and do you guys want to see how it works? Yeah. Okay. Ready? And wait. One of them flew over here. Ah. So it goes together like here. I'll use a piece of tape. There's part of it, and I don't know where the other piece went. The other piece went somewhere, but it says Happy Valentine's Day, and then what I write to Andy and Laura, Laura's my eldest, is, "Aren't you glad he popped the question?" And she said, "You had me at hello, love Mom and Dad." So then they put this together, and then they get their Valentine. And I did keep extra balloons so I could put them back in and then remake it. So it's easy to do. It's fun. And I know one thing with, especially, I don't know if it's my kids or just 20-year-olds everywhere and teenagers, they like things that are interactive. And this is an interactive Valentine.
Love that. Absolutely. Great idea. Who would you like to pick, Lucy?
How about Gail?
All right, Mrs. Roddy, it is your turn.
There we go. Well, Bill Roddy loves my chocolate. Can you see them?
Oh, that's
my chocolate haystacks. I make them every now and then during the year, but I make them extra chocolatey for him. They've got cashews in them. They're raw. They're made with coconut oil and real cocoa, but they keep me up if I eat too much. So I make them for him, and he loves them really chocolatey. So I had him take one with him to go to his meeting today, and he'll have some more tonight. And this is how he loves to be loved, if I cook things for him. So this is my Valentine's present. I wish you were all here to have some.
Gail, will you be putting the recipe on GailRoddy.com or on Dare Whimsy? May we have the recipe?
Yes, I will put it on Dare Whimsy.
Fantastic, because you know, anytime Gail puts a recipe on, we all enjoy the food. It's really good stuff. Who would you like to popcorn to, Gail?
Let's go to Dr. Martina.
All right.
Thanks, Gail. I made a card.
Oh, I like that. Tell us the type of art that is, because I always forget the word, and that's a very specific kind of art.
It's called Zentangle, and the process is called tangling to figure out what the patterns are. And my children all know for me it's about the word, so of course I had to write something inside. The love we share has layers and depths and nooks and crannies, hard places and lots of soft places. Wherever you are in life, look deep inside your own heart. I will always be there. The love I have for you flows through eternity.
Love that. Love that a lot. Your words are always so meaningful, whether you're writing on your blog at martinamcgowan.com, that's MartinaMcgowan.com. And I congratulate you for being listed on one of the top experts to listen in organization this week. That must have been a great Valentine's.
Yes, that was quite flattering. I'm always surprised when I stumble across those because there are obviously many heavy hitters in social media, but I'm always flattered when my name does get to show up.
Oh yeah, it was exciting for me to see because I personally know your structure and I professionally know your structure, and you are in fact an expert manager, an expert writer, not to mention minister and physician. So we just salute you, and happy Valentine's Day to you for that. That's wonderful.
Good. Happy Valentine's Day to you. I think you're up, Edith.
All right. Pop her into space. We're getting better at popping each other over, but we're not quite there yet. So Edith, you're on.
Right. Thank you. This is because I'm single, and so I send out a lot to my friends as well as to family, and this one was for friends, and it says, thank you for being my friend and joining me on life's journey. So this is what I've been handing out, different ones a little bit, to all my friends for just celebrating the joy of life and the love for each other.
I love that. I really do. You know, handwritten things to me, whether I like calligraphy, but I like it handwriting the best because when you see people's handwriting, you know they wrote it. And I bought something this week, and it's rare for me to go find something to buy, but this was at a yard sale, and I bought it because it lets me see these love notes I get from other people on my desk every day. And I've just recently brought it home to Camden, where I'm going to be doing some of my time, so I can see it right in front of my desk. So I can look up and see the love people have handed me, pictures, handwritten notes, or whatever. And I can't tell you how happy that's been this week. It's something I did not expect to be that meaningful to me. It was just something I did kind of on a lark. But putting pictures up, putting the handwritten cards, Sarah particularly has sent a lot of handwritten cards, so has Gail, and to put those in front of me to remind me during the hard days that, man, we still have Valentine's every day we commit to each other. It really is about friendship, and it really is about seeing each other through the hard times. Some of you guys know that last week I faced an event, a 400-mile move for someone, and I was moving my own stuff 400 miles from home. And let me tell you, that's a lot of stuff. And those friendship calls, those texts, those moments on Google Hangout, they really matter to us. And to capture that in a picture, I know Sarah's the best in the world at capturing a picture and sending it to show me her getting dressed up to go on TV, or to show me a silly face because I needed a laughter. You know, those moments are so enabled by digital, and it's great that we can do those for free and instantly, but it's also meaningful for a tactile learner like me to hold it in my hands, to absolutely have something in my hands, or to put on a bracelet or a skirt or something that shows me something that I can touch and remember a good time together. And we do that for each other a lot in Dare Whimsy. We do silly videos, we do straight videos. I want to just call out that one of the best parts about Valentine's is it gives you the excuse to try something new. It gives you the excuse to be silly, to be wonderful, to be wacky, to do whatever you want to do with permission, because it's kind of a fun holiday to do that. So don't get so hung up, girls, on having to do it right that you don't do it at all. You know, maybe it's not your year to do the Taj Mahal in a Valentine's cupcake. Maybe it's your time to go by the bakery and spend $2 and get it. Or to spend $2 on a cake mix and do it at home. Maybe it's not your year because I'm in the middle of a move. I can tell you we have 624 boxes. It's not my year to invite people over for dinner and expect a formal dinner and dress-up party. But guess what? The table sat just great last night for chili and grilled cheese sandwiches, and we had 5 people around it having laughter and sharing stories about how awful the day was, because it was awful. But, you know, it's the laughter and the shared time that made it Valentine's, not the way the house looked. And hospitality is that way. Some of you need to invite yourselves to dinner. Some of you need to invite yourselves and give yourself permission to be the guest of honor in your life. Some of you have made somebody else the guest of honor so often you're not even welcome in your own life anymore. And this Valentine's, my gift to you is to really say, what would it be if you were the guest of honor in your day today, the rest of this week through Saturday and all of next week till Tuesday? What would you be if you were the guest of honor in your own life? What would that Valentine's gift look like? Would it mean an extra nap? Would it mean wearing your favorite clothes? Would it mean giving yourself permission to get rid of things that clutter up your space? Would it mean that you are calling for a friend for lunch? Would it mean that you get over your house being messy and invite someone in to share coffee with you? What would it mean? Would it mean more solitude? Would it mean more doing a craft that you enjoy? Would it mean giving up and asking for help on something you've struggled with? What would being the guest of honor of your life, being the queen of your own house, look like? Because last time I checked, queens don't rush. Queens don't do everything in the castle. Queens do not have a need to be everything to everybody, because though they are the royal we, me, myself, and I, they recognize that to be queen means that they have to have margin in their life, protection from themselves, and they have to protect the castle. That's their head and heart. So I would love for each of you this Valentine's Day to understand that every princess out there, whether you're 5 or 95, gets to be queen this week. What would it be if you were the guest of honor in your own kingdom? I would love you to do it as a writing prompt. If you're past 2nd grade, you may be ready to write that prompt. If you're not past 2nd grade and you're about 4 and a half like I am some days in the middle of this move, just grab pictures. Bobby did the most wonderful thing this week. She took a notebook and just cut out pictures that reminded her of happy places and happy times. She also cut out recipes for another day when Dare Whimsy's all together and the Women of Dare Whimsy come to Camden, Arkansas. And so she started cutting out recipes we might try to eat together, food we might try to have fun making together, because it's not time to do it yet, but we can plan and dream and have fun in the imagination of it, and then we can choose later which ones work. It doesn't have to be today's schedule or tomorrow's schedule. It could be a someday schedule. And when you're the guest of honor in your own life, you're allowed to plan for some days too. All right, I'd like to pop this back to Dr. Edith, because I know that Dr. Edith has some really sincere words to talk about how holidays can cause stress and how can we de-stress these holidays. All right, Edith.
Yep, I'm ready to go here. De-stressing, it's really important to have your routine and keep your routine even during the stress times and even during the times where things are really chaotic and going all different directions. You need to keep to your routine. That's called self-care. And make sure that throughout the rest of the year or throughout any day that you actually be able to plan in those self-care times. Knowing what and when you become overwhelmed, what your triggers are for becoming overwhelmed, and be able then to say, okay, how do I need to adjust this? How do I need to modify it? What do I need to do for self-care? 30 seconds, 2 minutes. It's okay. It doesn't have to be extensive amount of time or a big plan, but make sure you have on your list, your to-do list, yes, because this is self-care, so it can go on your to-do list of, okay, I need to take that 5-minute break in between my 45 minutes of activities. I believe you'll see Sweetie promotes that quite a bit too, is that you take that 15-minute break and go do something different. It helps your creativity, it helps your mood, it helps your ability to breathe at the moment and breathe into the moment. So remember that breathing into the moment is important also. Asking questions of, and I believe Sarah's mentioned this and Dr. Martinez mentioned this, is it important? Is it important for who I am and what I want to be able to communicate to the ones around me, the ones I love, the ones I teach, the ones I mentor, the ones I counsel, the ones I interact with, even at the grocery store? Is the way I'm smiling? Is the way I'm grumpy? Is the way I'm presenting myself, living the life that I want others to experience with me in that interaction in those meetings? Self-care, breathing in the space, taking a break, knowing what your values are, putting it on your to-do list for self-care. Those are all suggestions to maintain your well-being during stressful times.
Oh, that's so good. You know, self-care is one of the hardest things for many people to do. They have trouble giving themselves permission to take care of themselves. One of the things I was just holding up was a timer. I have learned in my world as a strategist that if it's a call on the fly and someone talks for more than 3 minutes, it's going to go negative. If it's on the fly and they're under stress because something's happening in their world, and I let them keep talking about the negative thing happening in their world, my day is going to change. Because if they really have an emergency and they really need a solution set, I can give them that solution set in 3 minutes or less if it's a crash landing. If I let them talk longer than that, it's going to ruin my day too. And so I now have a timer that when I get those unexpected calls, I had one yesterday, I had a national advertiser call and say, we have a disaster. We have 5 days in 5 different cities with an author, and they've not had any registrations for her events. And I knew what the answer was. The answer was to create city events and to do it differently with people we already know to get it filled and to make sure it's handled. But in order to solve that, they needed 3 minutes of instruction, not 30 minutes to gripe about all the problems in their organization that caused the problem. That's not helpful. It just ruins my day and theirs to keep repeating the negative stuff. And instead, I could say after about a minute and a half, hey gang, you know what? That's not helping us right now. Let's get into proactive mode. Proactive means we're going to do X, Y, and Z. I'll check back with you at 3 p.m. to see how it's going. And guess what? They felt empowered. I solved it from inflaming my day, because if you listen to somebody flame for 45 minutes, you're going to have a flame day because you're going to have missed balls. You're going to have missed what you wanted to do. You're going to miss your nap, which I did yesterday. You're going to miss everything if you don't contain things. So sometimes I use this to contain somebody else. Sometimes I use it to contain myself. Maybe I need to gripe. Maybe I've been treated unfairly. I'll set the timer for 3 minutes. I'll have a pity party like none other. Gail Ray would just be amazed at how pitiful I can get in 3 minutes. And at the end of that 3 minutes, the time's out, and I literally see the time is out, and I say, oh, well, we're done. That didn't help me a bit, but it sure feels better to rant a minute. Then I can get back to having a good life. Some of us need to have a timer in our life. This one's a really fun one because it literally turns and ends and starts over again. Some of you can use your phone timers the same way. You can set the alarm clock on your phone for a 1-minute timer. Or maybe you need a reminder to go play. I personally need more playtime. I created a very high level. And in order to create at a very high level, I need to do self-care and play at a high level and rest and get away in solitude. Yesterday, I asked one of my workers, can you take me to Walmart? And she looked at me like, are you crazy? Because I wanted her to drive me in a place that I could obviously drive myself. But you know what? I knew I needed to break away from 9 hours of heavy-duty stuff. And by her driving me to Walmart, I had 15 minutes of solitude to look at pretty things for my team for Valentine's Day. So when they come down actually in March, we're going to celebrate together. And I was able to remove myself from the stress, reset center again, and then come back to where all the stress was as a different person. And that's beneficial for everybody in my family, in my workspace, and also in our environment at Dare Whimsy. Because we all face stress, every single person, but we all have the same 24 hours a day. And if we don't choose to use them in ways that are self-supportive, guess what? They're still spent. The time is still spent. So I want you to, again, make yourself the honored guest of your own banquet of life this week between now and next Tuesday. I hope you'll do it the rest of your life. But I want to hear back from the Women of Dare Whimsy on what that meant as you became the guest of honor. In fact, it might even be fun to write yourself an invitation to the banquet of life that you exist in, and make sure that you remember that the menu should be what you love. Maybe the menu's more fun. Maybe the menu is turning on a stereo in your office like I did this week. My daughter Madison set up a stereo that was not being used at the old house, and now I have music 24/7 that I could touch from my desk and turn on. I have danced and boogied and sang and relaxed into that music all week long, and it was being thrown away. You know, sometimes we give ourselves all kinds of reasons of why we can't have something, and the truth is it's just because we haven't tried. And if we get outside our own heads, there are things available to us we cannot even imagine exist. Some of us go to our closets, and if we actually hung up everything, we're amazed at the beautiful clothes we own. Sometimes we're amazed at the beautiful things in our cookbooks that we've forgotten we knew how to cook. Now, Miss Bobby cooked chili for us yesterday. It was amazing. Was it hard? No. But it took 15 minutes to put it together, and then we had a fabulous banquet last night. Sometimes we need to engage more 15-minute Valentines to ourselves so that we can enjoy the banquet of togetherness in our homes with our family, our friends, or even just ourselves. I would love for you each next week at Dare Whimsy, whether you're an audience member or whether you're on the team, to send us a picture of your favorite cup. It could be a coffee cup. It could be a beverage cup. It could be something you drink your water out of. But I want to see what people at Dare Whimsy are drinking from, because guess what? This is about Between Us Girls. And I want to start celebrating the cup of life we're sharing together. And we're going to feature some people. In fact, I have some prizes that are coming out for people on the team and people in the audience who go to our Dare Whimsy page and share what their cup of life meant with a picture and a word or two about what they did as the queen of their own banquet. Are you guys game to play? I'm going to make it worth your while. Again, this is Sweetie Berry with the Women of Dare Whimsy. We have about 10 minutes left, and I'd love for each of us to take about a minute to share who we are and where we can be found when we're not here at Between Us Girls. Sarah, I'm going to start with you. If you'll tell your name, who you are, and where you can be found so they can follow us home and get to know us other places too.
Hello, I'm Sarah L. Cook, and you can find me at sarahlcook.com. I am an author and speaker, a consultant of direct sales, as well as someone who loves to help with finances and making family financial sense real in your life.
Absolutely. Martina, you're next up.
I'm Martina McGowan. I'm a physician, I'm a writer, I'm a minister, a mother, grandmother, lots of other things. I can be found at martinamcgowan.com. My main focus in life is trying to help people find the next step forward, whether that's mentally or physically, because I'm a physician, or just where to go in life next.
Fantastic. I love that. Lucy Ann Mall.
Hi, I am Lucy Ann Mall, and I enjoy counseling hearts to hope. You can find me in two places, lucyannmall.com, as well as biblicalcounselingcenter.org. At Biblical Counseling Center, where I'm on staff, I'm a certified biblical counselor as well as the communications director. I write in both places, and again, counseling hearts to hope is my focus.
Absolutely fantastic, and I love everything Lucy does. We've been working together for many years as clients, as friends, as all kinds of things. So I look forward to you knowing her too. Gail Roddy. Oops, let's get you.
I'm Gail Roddy. Got me? And I am an author, speaker. You can find me at gailroddy.com. I've recently become a new playwright. I wrote a play entitled Calling All Mothers to the Well, because my focus for the rest of my life is bringing generations of women together by bringing them to the well and inviting the younger generations to join us, where we can be real and talk about how we view the world and how we want to pass on our wisdom to the next generation. GailRoddy.com is where you can find me.
I love that. She's also a vegan, a writer, and an amazing mentor. I'll talk with you soon, Gail. This is Dr. Edith Johnston.
Hello, I'm Dr. Edith Johnston. I am a counselor and a coach And I work with individuals that are multi-talented and we could be considered missing in action in personal development by understanding, overcoming, developing, expressing, and connecting with others that are similar to them so that they can, again, find who they are and be able to become comfortable in their own skin and be all that they can be.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us today. Ashley Alico? Let me make sure that she's unmuted. There you go. There you go. Ashley?
Hello, I'm Ashley Alico. I'm a graphic designer and illustrator, and you can find me at ashleyalico.com. I also teach some book arts classes, and the focus is on books. However, it's so much more than that. It's mixed media, it's techniques, it's writing the story, even if it's not real in the moment. And again, ashleyalico.com. Thanks.
Fantastic. I have the most amazing friends, and they're all part of Dare Whimsy. And we have some special friends who are not with us today as well, because often we have real-life schedules. And so I hope that you'll know that each one of us have different roles and different places to play. Some of us are professionals in offices that have certain hour requirements, and some of us are work-at-home people that we have more ability to get there. Bobby Smith is with us today also. Bobby is a professional clown. She's a minister. She's a children's literature writer, and she is amazing. Because her voice is not where it needs to be, I'm going to introduce her, and you can find her at missbobby.com. missbobby.com. My name is Sweetie Berry. I am one of the Women of Dare Whimsy, which you're visiting today at Between Us Girls. We meet each Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. It is also taped each week, so that if you need to see it in your leisure, you may. We are the Women of Dare Whimsy, a community for creative and gifted girls of all ages. We come together to have communication about living the gifted adventure called life. We hope that to bring a place where you can find fellowship, where you can find information, where you can find community. DareWhimsy.com is our home, and you'll find each of us writing there. And on Thursdays, after our gathering on Wednesdays, whatever our topic will be, we have a post that we write together as a group. And it's answering how we personally deal with whatever the topic is. This week it was about how to deal with the demands of Valentine's Day and the emotional stuff that goes with Valentine's Day as a gifted girl. And we have our best tips for how we survived it at all ages. We have young girls as well as middle-aged girls as well as elder girls. Hearts of all ages are welcome there. We also, on Thursdays, have the ability to go from that post back to our home websites, because you see, not all of us will resonate with you, but one of us may have an idea you're looking for yourself, your daughter, your sister, or your friend, and we want you to be able to follow us home and to get to know us. We're all experts in our different areas, but we're also very messy humans in our normal areas, and so we understand what it is to learn, and we want this to be a laugh and learn place. We hope that you'll be teachable, and we hope to learn from you too. We'll be having events together in different regions of the United States. We have online events already currently. We also are looking forward to you knowing more about the things we individually do. Everything from calling all mothers to the well, a one-woman play, to classes on Monday nights where we learn to do more business techniques as entrepreneurs, to Sweetie School, to things where we learn specific skills, because sometimes as high intelligent women we get so far ahead of ourselves we forget the basics, so we need to learn some basics to support our structures at home and our structures in health. Today is Wednesday. We're so excited that you've been invited to be the queen of your own banquet. We hope that you'll truly tune in with us at darewhimsy.com and facebook.com/darewhimsy. We want to hear from you. We want to see your life and see what you're drinking in and drinking from as part of your drinking up life and enjoying it. We hope to know you soon. We hope you'll be back next Wednesday. Thank you so much for coming. Again, this is Sweetie Berry with the Women at Dare Whimsy. Goodbye.